to say a big thank you for watching, big thank you for tuning in, and welcome back. This is episode 487 of Presenting Champions, and it's Liam Hartree back with you. Today, I'm joined by a very, very special guest. I'm joined by Babyface, Power Slap, Anthony Blackburn, welterweight world champion, and one of the most lethal guys in the game. We're going to be talking about. Oh yes, you've got the belt there as well. I'll get you to show that again in just a minute now. Beautiful, it looks absolutely beautiful. And yeah, we're going to be talking about his life in this rising sport. You know, one of the toughest sports in the world, one of the most up and coming sports in the world as well. That's really reaching all corners of the globe now, generating a lot of excitement, and it's only going to get bigger. So we're going to be talking about, what brought this man into the sport, the mindset that it takes to reach the top, his up and coming matches as well, because there's a really big one coming up that we'll hear all about. So we're going to be getting into everything, the mindset of a top fighter. And I just want to say good morning to you, champ, and thank you very much for coming on the show.
Morning, Liam. Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to finally be here because I know we've talked about this on and off for a little while. So to finally be here now, thank you for bearing with me. It's absolutely awesome. And no matter how many of these I do, reaching around the world like this, different time zones and everything is super cool. So, okay, I'm going to get you to show us the belt one more time. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get you just to describe how it feels to be walking around as a world champion. That's
And
the first
this
thing.
thing right here, this Power Slap World Championship belt, to win it and have, Dana White wrap it around your waist and, it wild dreams come true, You never think it was a vision, I signed up for this sport out of nowhere on a whim kind of and thinking like, all right, it's all in. I'm gonna do this 100%. And now two and a half years later, you're looking at top of the sport.
Absolutely. That must be an incredible feeling. And yeah, going back to what you were saying just there, Dana White wrapping the belt around your waist in that moment. I mean, I ask a lot of guys this question in all the different fight sports, MMA, boxing, kickboxing, everything. And I say, look, in that moment when you realize you are champion of the world, obviously it usually takes a little while to sink in afterwards, but right in that moment itself, is that something you can put into words, like the feeling that you get, or is it just beyond anything that you can describe?
I mean, if you want to put it this way, I've taken all these slaps from these, top guys in the sport, and none of them have been able to drop me. He put that belt around my waist, and I dropped to my knees, and I started crying, and it was just, to me, it was unreal. I couldn't even hardly take it all in the moment. It was surreal.
Absolutely. I mean, I love that because watching the fight is one thing, but hearing about like your feelings is another thing. And there's another side of that that people don't really see, which is like your loved ones or your close people. Because we'll talk about the fans afterwards because they're really important, people jumping on the bandwagon and supporting you. But like the people who've been there all the way along in the journey, whoever they are, whether it's partners, parents, close friends you grew up with, siblings. I mean, it's different for different people. But like for you, those people who've been there through the journey, how did they react when you actually won the belt? Because this is something that basically the fans or people watching from the outside, we don't really see this. Or I mean, you kind of do sometimes, but like the reaction from your close people anyway, what was that like?
Well, it was really nice because a lot of my family was in the crowd. They had the big banner up and they were wearing my t-shirts, and it was really cool to have my close family there representing a couple close friends as well. But then getting all these messages and calls and people sending videos of their live reactions of when I won the title, and they're recording all their family crying, and everyone's just sharing the moment from all over the country at the same time to get all these messages was, that again was another surreal moment. Like, man, all these people are living this experience with me, like as friends, and they're not competing, but having that same experience and that same feeling as I did. They're enjoying the same moment is really, really cool. It's gratifying.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. Because like I said, I love to get like kind of behind the scenes and talk about some of the things that you don't always see. I mean, I remember some of that with the banners and everything, but like the reaction and how they felt and everything Yeah, it must be next level. So, okay, now obviously with this interview today, as I mentioned before, we've been talking for a little while, but it's happened at the right time. I'm a big believer it's happened at the right time because obviously you've got this big one coming up now as well. So we wanna talk about that, like how you're feeling, the preparations, and like how everything's going for you on the build up to that one. Let's mention that as well. People really want to hear about it. It's exciting times for you.
So June 27th is Power Slap 13 International Fight Weekend in Vegas, and we'll be defending this title against Azael Rodriguez. He is a formidable opponent. He's challenged for the belt at middleweight a couple times, and he's made a drastic cut, and now it's his chance at the welterweight title, and I'm excited. I've wanted this matchup since I started this sport. It was one of the guys in the first season that I saw on the TV show that was, oh man, I want to challenge that guy. He's going to be one of the top guys in the sport. And now here we are, fast forward. He is one of the top guys in the sport, has the most matches, challenged for the title twice already. Now he's moving down a weight class, so he's going to be in some of the best shape of his life. And I'm excited because I'm feeling great. We're, got 5.5 weeks or so. Got about 10 pounds to trim down, and I'm not looking to get in the sauna at all. It's gonna be a nice, easy fight week. I'm gonna be eating, keeping hydrated, ready to get after it.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's a very, very exciting match. And yeah, I think I heard you mention that before about like wanting him, or I like for a long time I'd heard something about that. Anyway, the fact you're finally there, absolutely incredible. Now, obviously, this fight, can you give us your prediction for it? I mean, is that something you do? Can you, what
Oh yeah.
you
Oh,
feel
we
like?
could do that. My predictions, and this is mine, and there's other people that feel a lot differently too, and I'm sure he feels a lot differently. I think personally, we will go into the championship rounds. We will see fourth or fifth round, but I think I get him out of there in those championship rounds. I think that this game is, yeah, sure, if you can slap good, it's a good thing, but if you it's about taking the slaps, and I feel like I am one of the best in the sport at taking slaps. So we will see. He's thinking he's going to knock me out. So, we're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. He's going to come for this belt, with everything he's got, but I'm ready to take it all.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be an exciting match, 110%. I'll be cheering for you. A lot of other people will as well. I mean, it's a great thing with the snap fight, so because in all fairness, they are 50-50 matchups, and that is a big part of what makes them exciting. So, you know, may the best man win, but I'll be cheering for you one way or another, and it's going to be an awesome night. Now, obviously, that leads me to another thing because I know at the moment you're fully focused, you're locked in with this one, and you're going to take it one fight at a time. But like, and it's not good to look past fights. So I'm not saying that, but you're obviously going
Mm.
to have dreams and goals and other aspirations you want to do, like past him. So imagine if we were having this conversation like a year from now. Where would you want to be by that time? And like, what are just some of your other goals in the sport? Because you were saying about like you wanted him from the beginning. So I'm just curious if there's other guys like that that you've got
Mhm.
your eyes on.
Right now, it's, since I've only had one kind of title defense, it's technically not because Manny had missed weight. Um, so defending this title a few more times and just keeping this undefeated record and building this legend and this legacy of this baby face, because it was just a wild dream type of gimmick that I was thinking of, like, oh, let me shave my face and I don't need that beard armor. You guys are all, I'm better than you guys because I don't need a beard. That's what I was thinking, just out of a whim. And it's all fallen into place, and I'm just running with it, and I'm going to keep on running with it, and this train's going to keep on going. So, if I keep this undefeated record, they have me coming in, and I'm now coaching new strikers, new athletes that are trying to come into the sport with these training camps. So hopefully I'm implemented in all of those in the future, just because, I enjoy teaching, coaching and training and teaching. That's something that gives me joy in my soul. uh, being able to pass on experience to new people and, give what you have accrued and just spread information that way and just help people out that way. Um, but yeah, just build this legacy and, I'm aiming for the Hall of Fame. Why not, baby?
Absolutely. Absolutely amazing, 100%. Well, we'll do a part two when you're in the Hall of Fame, and we'll talk about how that feels as well. 100%. We'll do an update
Heck
one of
yeah.
these days. 100% with you on that one. But actually, that's a really good thing you mentioned there about like training the people and like giving back. Bringing people on to be their best. I absolutely love that. Um, it's not really a question. I'm just saying all the respect in the world for that. Like giving back your experiences is such a rewarding thing. But it does lead to an interesting point because a lot of people hearing about this for the first time or quite new to watching this will be curious about like the training side of things. And
Hmm.
I must admit, I'm curious about the training side of things as well. If like how you train for power slap because it's bound to be evolving a little bit as well in the sense that
Yeah.
this is quite new, so it's bound to be like people are figuring out new techniques and everything. So I think it's going to be a really fascinating. I mean, obviously with the UFC, if you look at like MMA in the beginning and how quick the evolution was from like the early UFCs to some of the later ones, I can see like the training is going to get sharper and more precise and the striking, and you're going to learn different techniques. But to a lot of people, it's still a mystery of like how you train for power slap. So can you give us
Hmm.
a little bit of an insight on that? Nothing that people can use to their advantage with your opponents, but just a little bit of an insight for the fans about like, what you do day to day, how you improve your power and the strikes and just all that kind of stuff, basically. Wherever you want to go with that, I don't mind.
Hmm. So that's one thing I really love about this sport is everybody has a unique body structure, muscle types, and everybody's going to have a different type of strike. So being able to implement your style and you practice your way of slapping, you know, if you're practicing your one way for longer than someone's doing another way, you're more proficient. It's people are going to figure out this way of figuring these different methods of training out. So like me personally, it's, breaking down the mechanics of a slap. What movements are really going on here as far as my body mechanics? Where is it starting? Where is the load coming from? Where are you twisting at? And then just really break everything down. And what my coach has done is gone through and done a whole program for us. And it's really simple. I'm not in the gym very, very hard. I'm not crushing it, sweating my balls off, and I'm not dying in there. I'm working deliberately to get stronger and better at my certain mechanics, and I'm only doing that, right? I'm not doing bodybuilding, lifting, and stuff like that. Um, it's very, very deliberate training in specific slap movements. And then obviously, you make sure your neck is strong. So I use a rubber band and I do isometric holds with the band, just basically making sure that when I'm bracing for a slap, everything is about as powerful it can be. And hopefully it can take that slap that's coming at me, you know? But then, the mentality aspect, that is what everyone says, you can train all day and all night. If you don't have the mentality behind it, it doesn't matter. So there's that aspect of it too, as well as how much mentality is it over the physical ability to be able to take the slap.
Yeah, I'm curious about that myself, to be honest. Hence, I said about the mindset thing at the beginning, because obviously what you're doing is different than everything else. I mean, it's not like boxing or MMA or anything where you can like cover up. I mean, you have to take the hit.
Mm,
Obviously that's quite unique, and obviously, some people like that aspect and some people don't, and that's cool. But it is a different type of mindset, and I've got to get into that. I mean, like the whole pain threshold thing, the whole mental toughness thing. I mean, basically, do you feel that's something you were born with, or is that something you've been able to like build up and grow mentally over time? Because it takes a unique
I
mindset to do what you do.
I think I really do think it's a born with
Mm.
aspect, like part of your life. If you are, it's hard because some people are, raised different. If you're raised in that type of life to where things are a little bit harder for you, you struggled a little bit, you might have a different type of mentality than someone who's, had it a little bit easier, didn't have much struggle. Everything was a little bit easier and fun, living more fun life probably has got a different mentality about everything.
I agree with that. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have to be hungry to want to reach the top and everything and do what you do. So, yeah, I mean, that is another thing actually that we should touch on because we talked about the future. We talked about like the present time. As you're walking around as the champ and everything. But you mentioned earlier about this being like a whim. I mean, it's not being something that you plan in terms of when you started. I'm talking about, right?
Hmm.
And to be honest, I mean, I followed like all of the matches you've had on your journey, but I don't even know much about your background before. It's like you just appeared, the baby face, you blew up, everyone was watching you and things. So I would like to touch on that, your background. Reason being, you know what you said earlier about like coaching and teaching people and all that kind of stuff. I think that will actually be quite inspiring. I've got like a gut feeling it's going to be quite inspiring to hear about where you came from and the fact you just worked your way up like the hard
Hmm.
way and you've got right to the top. So did you do any other kinds of sports before this, or just talk to us about the origins of finding power slap, basically?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had a pretty normal childhood. I grew up with my stepmom and dad. Um, I played football. I did some wrestling. I was pretty active in sports, but my main sports were football, wrestling. I tried other ones, track or cross country. I dabbled in everything, but I really hunkered down into football and wrestling, and that was really where the competitiveness started. And then I got into skateboarding and rollerblading and BMX, and going to my local skate park with all my kids from my block, and we'd roll up as a group, and I'm doing all the extreme sports at the same time. I was the kid that rolled up to the skate park with his BMX bike, skateboard on his handlebars, rollerblades in the backpack, and I was, riding around on everything I could. And it was just fun competition. That was another place where it was competitiveness. It was always trying to get better. And then, uh, I started working at an early age in the restaurant business. So always been into food. I started as a busboy, and then I worked back into the dish pit, and then I got on the line eventually. But after high school and a little bit of college, I ended up trying to up and move. I moved to Charleston, South Carolina, and tried making it down there for 5 years. Got a little bit too expensive. I was, doing the cooking thing down there, learning how to make pizza. That was a big part of my life, was learning how to make pizza. It's one of my favorite things to do ever. Um, then that turned into I started serving. Couldn't do it. I couldn't do the line cooking no more. I got burnt out, and I started serving. Then I, got a little bit more open to people. That really broke my shyness, I guess you could say. And then I started managing a little bit, and then that was even bigger step up for being able to talk to people and be personable and stuff like that. Um, that was a huge fun experience going to Charleston and trying to make it, but it got a little bit too expensive. I had to come back to Michigan. And then after that, after I came back to Michigan, I got out of the food and bev business for a little while. Started working for a sprinkler company. They do fire suppression. So then when I was doing that, I was, lifting all these heavy pipes and stuff. I was eating really good. And then one Saturday, I'm like hungover in my bed on a Saturday, and it popped up. I was scrolling on Facebook. It was a Facebook ad. You think you got what it takes? Sign up here for Power Slap. And I'm like, I'd seen the videos, right? Seen the videos on YouTube and whatnot. People getting slapped, knocked out. I'm like, oh, I could do that. That was the first thought on my mind when I seen that ad. I could do that. So I clicked it and signed all my information up. Didn't think anything was going to come of that, right? I just, well, you know what? I never sign up for, I never win anything or nothing like that. But I signed up and I made a post on Facebook bragging about it. I signed up for Power Slap today. What are you guys doing? and didn't think anything was going to come of it. Now, a couple of weeks, maybe a month down the road, you get an email from Erica, and she's like, "Are you still interested?" And yeah, of course. And then it was, on to the next phase of intake. You had to do medicals and stuff like that to get cleared to make sure you're able to compete. And then off to Vegas for my first match.
Wow, that is an amazing story. I mean, first of all, I got to say a couple of things. First of all, it is really inspiring, okay? So my gut feeling is 100%, I mean, working your way up from like humble beginnings to the top now to world champion is absolutely like real life Rocky type of stuff. So I mean, first of all, I love that. And yeah, I mean, I just wanted to ask you that question because other people out there not knowing like what they're going to do and everything, I mean, it shows what's possible, whether they do power
Hmm.
slap or whether they do something else. I mean, it doesn't have to be power slap, but it just shows that a lot of people got more potential in them than what they think they have. So first of all, I appreciate you sharing that big time because if that inspires even one person, then we've done some good work here. But the other thing as well is like some of those other sports, I got to say, I mean, like the football, obviously, getting hit and everything. But when you're saying about like the BMX and skateboarding and all that type of stuff, I mean, I got to say, when I've seen some of that, it takes absolute balls of steel to do some of that stuff because obviously you're going up there and you're doing like flips and all this type of thing, and like you land, you're on concrete, man. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not like some other martial art in that sense where like you get knocked down, you land on a canvas or whatever. I mean, if you do that, and it's like I've had this conversation a little while ago. I interviewed this top BMX guy called John Bulgins who was in a lot of the top competitions and stuff. And I was having this conversation with him. You go up and you do these flips and stuff. It's like, man, if you land, like I was thinking, that takes balls of steel to do that. So actually, I'm not surprised. I mean, it takes a lot of skill because obviously, I'm not saying I'm just focusing on one aspect here, but it takes a lot of skill as well. But like in that aspect, I looked at some of those guys doing that, and I think, like, yeah, okay,
That's where the balls
respect.
come from.
Yeah, that's maybe, yeah. Oh, well, you already had it, but you're using it in like a different way. And obviously, like the wrestling and the football, I mean, it's very, very tough sports there as well. So, yeah, I mean, the mindset was obviously always with you. So I don't forget about it though. I wanted to mention one thing. I mean, you said there about shyness and everything. You said there about like overcoming shyness and like opening up to people. I think that's really cool because now you're like being interviewed and like you're known around the world and stuff, and you're talking to people. It's like we've met for the first time today, and I never would have thought like any type of shyness or whatever. I mean, you just got like a good vibe. We sit down, we're chatting, we're having a great time. So, can we go a little bit deeper into that process for you in terms of like coming back to Power Slam now? Because obviously, with that, you've got to do like media. You've got to do interviews and you've got to do all that type of stuff. I mean, how is that for you coming from a shy background? Because it sounds to me like you've taken a massive step to be like where you are today. If you get where I'm going with this one, and I'd just love to like delve a little bit deeper into that. To be fair.
Oh yeah, it is definitely. It's an acquired skill to be able to, like public speaking almost. It gets you nervous. You get in that kind of spotlight, you start sweating, you get hot. That's kind of all gone out of the window. That doesn't happen too much anymore now, to where it's a lot more comfortable in media when we're doing, promos for these fights leading up to these fights, sitting down during fight week for different interviews for like Circa Sports and stuff like that, different sports books when they're doing betting. And interviews like this, obviously it helps. And it's been, it's been really cool to learn where that came from. Like obviously I couldn't have done it without having those jobs and having to talk to people every day to make money. You know what I'm saying? It was like I had to force myself to be polite and punctual and nice and talk right in order to make ends meet. So it worked out. I was able to learn how to communicate better and learn that it will help you in all aspects of life. You know what I'm saying? It carries over.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just really cool because one of the reasons I'm asking a few of these different things is it like it shows you as like the more human side of you in the sense that people see like this tough guy who gets in there and slaps people and gets slapped and all this, and you've got the baby face and you've got the image, but at the same time, it's really cool to get like behind the scenes because across all of the fight sports that I interview, getting behind the scenes and showing like the human side that people don't see, and like, handling the nerves and the pressure and like how you got there and all of that type of stuff. It's just really cool. So I just appreciate you being like an open book with that, because again, there's a lot of people out there who, if they're more on the introverted side, which actually I am also, by the way, even though I do this. So it's also been a journey of just doing this kind of thing until you don't feel it anymore. It's a powerful like learning point for people. So that's my reason for bringing it up. I mean, if there's shy people listening to this, same thing as before, they think, okay, maybe I can work on that little bit, and it can be a strength. So that's the purpose for that one. But there is one other side to that. We're in the last couple of topics now, but there's one other side to that. Is obviously you did this on a whim, and you were a shy guy, and you're famous now. I mean, you're all over the world. I mean, look at this. You're in the States. I'm in Europe. I can't remember if I told you that, but I'm from the UK. I'm in Cyprus Island now, one of the Mediterranean islands. But anyway, but people all around the world know you basically. Like I've heard of you, even all these thousands and thousands of miles away, and lots of other people have as well. But you signed up on a whim to all the way to becoming like a famous champion. So in terms of that aspect, in terms of like the fans and the messages of support that you get, the messages of encouragement that you get, and all that type of stuff. I mean, what does that mean to you? How does it feel like when people you don't even know, like stop you for a picture, send you an inspiring message, or like I don't know, whichever form the support comes in. I mean, just being such a well-known guy now, basically. I mean, how does that feel to you? That aspect.
It feels awesome because and it happens in all different sorts of ways. Like it's really cool to have these type of interviews and get the backstory because that's when people realize like, oh, he's really just a normal guy, just like me, and we're really relatable. And then these guys can feel way more comfortable to just message you out of the blue. And I'm friendly with them, with all of them, and I can be. If I miss anybody, I apologize. There's, I get a lot of messages, and I try to keep up with everybody, but there's a few that keep in touch, and you can tell that they can tell that they would be really good friends in real life if we lived near each other. We'd hang out, you know what I'm saying? So that we keep in touch in that sense. And it's really cool to have people from all over, you know what I'm saying? Like you're in the UK, I got people that message me from all kinds of different places in the world. So it just it's a learning experience in itself, but it feels awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, for two reasons. Obviously, the sport wouldn't be what it is without the fans, but also, yeah, there's the other side of it. I mean, you have the time of day for people. You message like we've been messaging a few times and everything like that, and we've had some good chats on there. And I reach out to a lot of people. Hey, the responses do vary. So the fact that you kind of keep your feet on the ground and everything is really cool. And it's a two-edged sword with you, because on the one hand, you are the champ, so you deserve the respect and you put in the work and you take in the risks. So, on that level, there's this aspect up here, but on the other level, the fact that, you're a normal guy and everything like that. I mean, a lot of people don't think of that with athletes. So I'm glad that we've been able to put that across. Last couple of things. I mean, I've said about the positive side of it there. Obviously, when critics and when haters and all that stuff come in, you've got to have a strong mindset with that as well. And it's an important thing because, Power Slap does have some, well, I mean, quite a few people slating it, and I've seen videos with doctors and people saying, oh, the concussions, it's not safe, and all of this kind of stuff. And to give this a fair sort of blanket approach to cover all the important topics, that is one of them on two sides. I mean, one of them is like the bigger picture of the sport, but mainly for you personally, I mean, how you like keep moving forward when those comments come in, because everyone says, hey, I don't care, I don't care, but you've got to have a strong mind for that as well, because it can sting a bit when you get like very negative comments. Everybody feels it. So how do you stay resilient to like keep moving forward, keep believing in yourself, even when you get that type of stuff? Uh, which I mean, I've seen all love for you to be honest, but you must get hate. You must get hate as well. So I want to touch on the positive side of a negative situation, if that makes sense.
There is um what is it when you like a tolerance, yeah? So you build a
Right.
tolerance up of, we've been at this for 2 years now, and I'm a habitual comment reader on videos and everything. I like to go dive deep and see what the fans are saying a little bit. I'll respond to, some good ones or here and there, but the negative stuff I really feel like is um it's not just them having their own opinion. It's people seeing other people write CTE and then they just agree, It's a lot of that. There's a lot of just bandwagon stuff going on with people seeing certain posts or info or a comment and just hopping on that bandwagon. If you really sit down and you think about this sport, it's safer than middle school context for like football and stuff like that. If you think about it, um, I'm not taking any hits besides when I'm performing on stage. If you go to any football practice, soccer, for that matter, soccer, they're slide tackling people and they're playing hard ball. There's instances where I feel like those sports are just as dangerous or if not more because of the risk of injury you have in your preparation and your practice and in your games. Like if you're a boxer and you're practicing for a match that you have in a month or two, you're sparring and you're getting hit in practice every day of the week. That's adding up big time. Football practice, if you're a lineman, you're taking 40, 50, 60 snaps in a game. How many you're doing in practice? Yeah, sure, you have a helmet on, but them boys are 300 pounds running at you full speed. So there's just, if you use your brain and think logically about it, it's a lot safer than some of these sports out here, and some of these people are jumping on these bandwagons of negativity, and you just build this like I said, you build this tolerance of, all right, that's just the stupidity, you can weed that out. um so there's a lot of that you can just get rid of, and I try to, and you see some comments that you can kind of say this, like bring this argument towards, and then they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And you're like, well, then you're making fans right there in the comment section. So I try to do that too. There's an aspect of trying to convert people on these negative thoughts. It's kind of fun, but it's an adventure.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, changing perceptions. As we've had to do with everything. I mean, obviously, like we were saying earlier with like the UFC and stuff. I mean, they had massive opposition with that in the beginning, and look where it is now, like a multi-billion-dollar business and everything. So, I mean, it takes time, Ben, for boxing. Massive opposition there. Look where it is now. It's all over the world. So these things, you always have to push through. And yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Hey, I've been around a lot of gyms doing interviews, doing photos, doing the media side. You see the sparring, you see football. I mean, it'll interest you to know as well where I'm from in the UK. I'm in Europe now, but when I was there in Wales, I'm from, so it's not England. Rugby is the sport there. There's
Yeah.
a massive lawsuit going on now, massive, with loads of guys who've got together suing the main organisation for not telling them about the brain injuries and all of this type of stuff. And I love rugby. I'm not slating the sport, but they were saying like, look, we knew it would damage our bodies, but nobody told us it would damage our brains. So
Mhm.
yeah, with this, you've got to look at like both sides of the coin, and I know people see you taking the hit, and I know people see like you obviously with past that you can't protect yourself from the hit, but yeah, there's the other side where you're not taking them all the time. So it's a very interesting debate, and I wanted to put that in there for fair content. Literally, last couple of things. Other people that you'd like to thank is an important one. We spoke earlier about like your close people, but I just want to give a mention if there's anyone else. Like obviously you mentioned your coach. There's probably sponsorship and other things in there, or just anyone who's contributed to your journey. There's a lot of good people helping fighters behind the scenes. A lot of times people don't know they even exist, or if they do, they only barely know they exist. So I want to just give you this opportunity to give a shout out to those people, and then that'll be pretty much everything, to be honest. And we'll probably wrap this up. But I've also got a feeling there'll be some good people who've helped you along the way, even though you're the one in there taking the hits and doing the work. There's probably people who've given you a boost. who people listening to this will never heard of. So I just want to give them their moment, and that's it, really.
I would like to thank definitely my coach, James Isham. He's been, this building block and, the builder behind this whole idea of let's take this ride to the championship. And he's molded this person you see before you as, this champion slap fighter. And, I can't thank him enough. Uh, my close friends and my family for the support. They show so much love. And to be honest, I've gotten so much support for this crazy adventure that I've been on. It's been mind blowing. Like, obviously, it's a pretty crazy and dangerous sport. So to have the support is really nice. There's not really anybody that has been against me. Obviously, grandma, don't do it, but you know, that's been the only the only one that's opposing. Um, yeah, just my close family, my friends, my coach. We're starting to work on sponsors here soon, so I'll be shouting out some sponsors. Uh, one of my good podcast buddies, the Roger That Live podcast. I love those guys. They've been really supportive over these past couple years. Um, look forward to seeing them in Vegas next month, hopefully.
Awesome, absolutely awesome. And the very last thing is just to give a shout out where people can follow you. I know that you're not a hard guy to find by any means, but because of what we were talking about earlier, where you engage with the fans and everything like that, if people are hearing this story for the first time, which a bunch of people probably are, or even if they've heard about you in Power Slap, obviously today we've gone a bit deeper. So if they're hearing any of that stuff and they're thinking, okay, I want to follow this guy, or I want to reach out to him with any relevant request or anything like that, what's the best way people can plug into you and join the journey, basically?
The best way to follow my journey is definitely on the Instagram, Babyface Power Slap. Anthony Blackburn on Facebook. I'm active on both of those social medias. I'm trying to work on a little bit of my Twitter and TikTok stuff. So we'll see what happens. It's a whole lot of stuff. It's like a full time job. I'm like struggling trying to cope with that, but we'll figure it out soon.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, people can plug in, people can join in that way. You post some great stuff. Your accounts are a lot of fun, so I would definitely recommend people to join in and everything like that. And hey, with the food thing, you're still are you still doing like the cooking and that what you said earlier, oh no, you mentioned you've changed. What's your job now? Because I'm curious if like people recognize you in like in
Right
work.
now, I
Yeah.
mean, since I've started Power Slap, I haven't been working. I'm trying to build up a little bit of funds for my own adventure in business. That's kind of the goal here.
Entrepreneurship. Okay, I love it. I love it.
Hmm.
Well, I wish you good luck with that. I mean, yeah, I was just curious if you were still like if you were doing the cooking, if people recognize you in the restaurant, like, hey, you're Power Star. But yeah, I mean, you're doing your own thing. That is cool. I love that. I'm self-employed as well, and it's a great way to go. Honestly, it's very freeing. Yeah, I mean, there's some stress, but it's like a good kind of stress if you do it the right way, and it's a great journey. So yeah, well, good luck with that. I'm very, very excited to see what the future holds for you in Power Slam and in everything else that you do. I'll definitely be cheering for you in June. And yeah, I mean, I hope this interview has really helped people just to see like the other sides of you and everything like that. I will release it on the weekend. I'll send it to you when it's out there as well for the reshare.
Perfect.
But yeah, I'm going to put it out everywhere. The weekend's a good time to get them out, obviously. So yeah, but just best of luck with everything, and it's been awesome talking with you today. Really, really enjoyed it, and I hope you have as well. And it is public speaking. What you said earlier, this is kind of like public speaking. No, no, it is public speaking. And the final thing I'm going to leave you with, okay, because I know you've got to go, is public speaking is the number one fear in the world. Okay, they did a massive survey in the States, and more people were afraid of public speaking than they were of actually dying. Right? It was a number one fear in the world, even higher than, they went through all these things of like, fear of heights, fear of like spiders, earthquakes, whatever. And obviously, I think dying was number two, but public speaking was number one. So, like, when you've done this today, from what you said earlier, coming from a shy guy to doing this, you are public speaking, the #1 fear in the world, and you just smashed it. So yeah, I don't know if you say in the States, but like in UK, so give yourself a pat on the back. In other
There we
words,
go.
you know, there
Failed it,
you go,
baby.
my man. Great job, great job. But yeah, you have a great day, brother, and good luck with everything. We'll speak soon. But thanks again. All right, take care.
Thanks, Liam.
Take care. Bye now.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.